I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job. Done.
Tell me why. Why can't we live together? Tell me why. Why can't we live together? Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together?
Hello, all you melanated beauties. Sun-kissed by God's lips. This is Coy with your black tea sip. I'm sipping power to pour you the truth. Go grab your cup. Let's fill it up. All right. Happy Friday to all you melanated beauties. Sun-kissed by God's lips. This is your girl Coy with the black tea sip. So, I want to talk about some things today that have sparked some interest. But since on this show we sip power to pour truth and we examine and celebrate the Black life experience, I am not going to disappoint you today, baby. That's exactly what we're going to do. We are going to definitely examine, because in relationships and dating and all the things that go on in everyday life, it seems to be a little different for, Black folk. And I'm not saying folks. I said what I meant. I know my mama's watching and she's like, folk, F-O-K-E, because that's different than Black folks. Black folk is a little different. And so I just decided that we would talk about Nick Cannon and Black folks and polyamorous relationships today. So if you want to hear it, you want to hear it right here, and you want to hear it right now, and I'm not going to disappoint you by getting it done. So Nick Cannon welcomed his 9th child into the world on the 14th of September. His 9th. Now, I have been educated by one of my college friends. He's a college friend, about this lifestyle where people are literally engaging in kind of like that HBO, Big Love? The HBO show. It was fascinating. I think we all watched it with our mouths hung open every week, because this one man had these 3 quote unquote wives, and they shared responsibilities with the children, and they also shared responsibilities of their wifely duties in every aspect of the word. And they, it seemed like this loving, mutually agreeable thing. And so they coordinated when their menstrual cycles were coming, and then they would trade off who got to have him for the week. It was the most fascinating thing I've ever seen in my life. Fascinating to the point where my mouth was hung open every week, because I just couldn't believe that a woman would go for that. Well, now Nick Cannon has brought big love into Black folk lives. And, it's interesting to me, because here we are, and we're all kind of looking. I know that there are married people that are looking. Let's talk for a different day, baby. But you have single people that are looking. We have several people that have gotten engaged recently after divorce. And, there is life after divorce. I say it all the time. I am a happy divorcee for the people that's gonna try to come for me on TikTok. And I am, when I engage in a relationship, I want it to be fun and as light as possible. But when you start to share your life with someone, there are heavy moments, right? That you deal with. But when you are a divorcee, you deal with that very differently, because you've already got the 2.5 kids and the white picket fence. You've done that. You've checked that box. You're moving on. Some people, like myself, just enjoy the relationship and the dating and the witnessing of lives. But I'm not looking to get married, at least not anytime soon, right? I like not being married. I think marriage is a great institution, but it is an institution, baby. So, and if you like being institutionalized, then no. So I think that when we look at Nick Cannon And, you know, we're saying, okay, he's a celebrity. I struggle to say A-list celebrity. I still think of him as very much B-list celebrity. But, you know, these women have taken on this big love kind of persona. And they are all, for lack of a better term, allowing him to impregnate all of these other women. And it comes to mind about health issues and STDs and feelings and that kind of thing. And so how are they dealing with all of that? Because most of us do not want our partners, you know, if you're dating, single, certainly if you're married, unless you have an open marriage. I mean, I do know that's a thing. You don't necessarily want your person with someone else, you know. So Nick Cannon, on the other hand, is in fact impregnating these women. So I mean, he out here raw dogging it. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. So he's out here raw dogging it. So, you know, it just sparks to my mind, what kind of conversation are they having? Are there contracts being signed when you get with him? Are you saying, yes, I'm going to deliver you a child? Like, you know, it's weird. But is it weird because it's just not the norm? And so I think that black people in particular, but people in general, are now redefining what a relationship is. And you know, the truth is, a relationship is what you say it is. We got a lot of people that weigh in on somebody else's relationship and try to talk about what they should and should not do. And that too can cause you a great deal of problems, because if you are listening to someone else about your relationship, that person shouldn't be weighing in your relationship. But that's usually a fault of the person who's doing all the talking, right? So you are sharing too much of your business, and so then it becomes a problem. And when we are examining relationships and talking about how to date, you know, I think there is a part where you just simply say, I'm just dating. So if this person that I'm dating, it may be the person I really, really like, if they are also dating and we haven't had this conversation about expectations and exclusivity, then what really could your expectations be other than for that person to commit to whatever the commitments are that you set, whether it's, you know, dinner on a Friday night or Saturday at the museum or going to your office Christmas party, you know, whatever those things are. That's really all that you can ask that person to do. Is just, you know, follow through with whatever commitments. Beyond that, it's about choices, right? And then you start to watch the relationship either evolve or devolve based on your dating habits. When you're in a polyamorous relationship, supposedly there's this conversation. I started talking about my friend who I went to college with, and his idea of relationships and what he wanted to do. And his goal, this is why Nick Cannon came to my mind. His goal was to, in fact, find women who would be agreeable to him having more than one woman and sharing his life with these women, and they had to be willing to have children. I was like, what? So Nick Cannon, we're assuming, can pay for, you know, but I remember many, many years ago, childhood friend was a dancer with Bobby Brown, right? And so Bobby Brown was there, and he said that he had, he wanted a number of children. I can't remember the number now. It was in the teens, right? And I remember saying out loud, I was thinking it, you know, thought came in my head, mouth flew open, ta-da, words came out. And I said, don't be cruel, they ain't making that much money no more. And people laughed. And he kind of looked at me with a side eye. This is 100 years ago, you know, 20s. I was in my 20s. And said that he was entertaining the idea of having children. So a couple of questions came to mind. Is this Black Hollywood manifesting in Nick Cannon? Because that conversation was almost 30 years ago. You know, at the Four Seasons in Dallas, they had a show here. Shout out to Delana Downs. And I remember that conversation. Nick Cannon has had his 9th child. all by women of color, and seemingly many of them have at least ancestral roots somewhere, right? And so I'm wondering, is this a Black Hollywood thing that some people are in the know of, like my own boy, and they are now trying to live this life where they populate the earth? I mean, Nick Cannon is literally out here like Father Abraham. You remember that song, Father Abraham had many sons? Okay, so he might be single-handedly trying to increase the chances for the Black population in the United States to be the largest minority. He might single-handedly be trying to give the Hispanic community a run for their money with this ninth child. So here we are. He has his ninth child was born on September 14th, and they, of course, he made the announcement on Instagram because that is what you do. And the child's name, this is what really got me. The child's name is Onyx Ice Cold Cannon. Now, when you have 9 children, you just start making up names. The child's name is Onyx, which is a black stone that is completely opaque. Well, that stuck in my mind because my puppy dog's name is Onyx. And he is a black boxer with a white chest. Cute little dog. His name is Onyx. We didn't give him 4 names. I guess we're behind the times. Which is his daughter, which is his newest daughter. His daughter's name, Onyx. I mean, you name child whatever you want to. What was that? Gwyneth Paltrow named her child Apple. So, okay. I mean, fruit, stones, cars, Alexis and Porsche. Okay. And then this is his first child with model. Bree Taisi told E! News Daily that people think that they understand, because of our own preconceived notions and ideas about what a relationship is in conventional terms. And she said that there are certain things, that are conventional, but she said, but we, and this is a direct quote, but we have a beautiful relationship. Everything is so supportive and positive. So I don't know if we is her and these other 4 women, because he has 9 children by 5 different women, or if she's saying she and Nick. And so it was really confusing to me because I do have conventional notions about relationships. I know that he married one woman. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to take a quick break. And then we're going to get into it, and we're going to talk about our expectations for dating and how it has kind of evolved into something else. This is called With the Black Tea Sip in a minute.
Nourished skin is healthy skin. Simply Ardor skincare products provides luxurious nourishment for your body. Indulge in rich scrubs and body butters, and top it off with our sensational and unique aromatic lines of sprays and roll-on fragrances. It's simple and lovely. Simply Ardor. Love is real. Just spread it.
You got them days. Took you a whole year to bounce back. Took me a couple days. You hitting licks, I'm getting rich. I'm hitting ski notes. Watch what you say. I got a pit. I can show you what he know. He can do tricks. He with the shit. Do what I tell him to. If he get at you, I plead the fifth. I didn't tell him to. I hit the block. The block was hot. I had to drop the top. Remember the name. Never forget the face. I'm coming back. Won't now. Go get your phone now. Yeah. Won't now. Go get your phone now. You should watch me shine. Look like I hit the lotto. I be on my grind. Bitches think I hit the lotto. You should watch me shine. Look like I hit the lotto. Bitches think I'm lying. Nah, I ain't hit the lotto. Oh, now. Go get your phone now, cause I'm in a zone now. This is my town. Turn off the lights now, cause I'm shutting shit down. Sending shots to all my haters. No, I don't promote violence. Where is the waiter? Sign autographs later, then I gotta go. Sign autographs on the back of my check. Minding my business, yeah, that's a bet. Baby, my entourage ready to flex. Pop rubber bands, see we neck to neck. Running the race, I got who's next. How does it taste? Pick up the pace, I'm on a new page. My honey's fresh, like they just came out of a suitcase. Whoa, now, go get your phone now. Go get your phone. Whoa, now, go get your phone now. You should watch me shine. Look like I hit the lotto. I be on my grind. Bitches think I hit the lotto. You should watch me shine. Look like I hit the lotto. Bitches think I'm lying. I ain't hit the lotto. They gon' hate on you cause they know you shining bright. They gon' hate on you cause they know you shining bright. They gon' hate on you cause they know you shining bright. They gon' hate on you cause they gon' hate on you cause they gon' hate on you cause they know you shining bright. They gon' hate on you cause they know you shining bright. They gon' hate on you cause they know you shining.
All right, and we're back. This is Caught with the Black Tea Sip. If you're just joining us, we are talking about black folk and polyamorous relationships because Nick Cannon has decided that he is going to take a stab at single-handedly populating the black world. And so I'm curious about how these relationships are starting to devolve because let's be real clear. A relationship is what you say it is. You make the determination about your relationship and how it functions. And the reason I'm saying that is because I've had several people ask me about my relationship and when is he going to put a ring on it? Well, when are y'all going to get married? Well, you know, I'm not intentional on being married. And so, you know, a lot of women are checking that box. Like, you know, the thing is ultimately to get married because if you're not married, then you're less than, there's something wrong with you. And black men in particular will criticize black women and try to talk about their age and other things because sometimes people just don't want to be married. I mean, some people have been married and don't want to be, and not anytime soon, or they're waiting to see how their relationship blossoms to make sure that the second time is the last time. I mean, you know, because when you're married, you know, sometimes that marriage is really just kind of dress rehearsal. And the next one should be open at night, baby. So if it's not, then there's no need to rush into that. With what you see with Nick Cannon and his 5 baby mamases is they have defined the relationship as this man is the man that they want, and this is the man that they want to procreate with, and this is the man that they're willing to share. I always thought that Nick Cannon was a little bit of a goofball, but he must be a hell of a, because it's strange that they're celebrated. What I'd like to see is all of them together. I would love an Instagram. You know what? Maybe I'll post that on his page. You know, like, I'd love to see all of you working together, all of the babies, you know, and perhaps that has been the case. So, you know, before the break, we talked about that Bree Taisi said it's supportive and it's positive. And then Abby De La Rosa, the mother of the twins born in 2021, is currently expecting and due in October. So that'll be baby 10. And Instagram post on August 24th, he confirmed that Brittany Bell, the mother of his children, Golden, Sagon, and Powerful Queen. See what happens when you start having all these children? You start naming them any doggone thing. Is also carrying his baby. So that'll be baby number 11. So he's got the twins with Mariah Carey. Because I feel like we need to just like, I wish I had a big whiteboard so I could have like a whole Nick Cannon family tree. So he's got the babies that he had with with Mariah Carey. So they were married from 2008 to 2016. So Monroe and Moroccan Scott, I are the twins he had Mariah. So that's 2. Then he's got Abby De La Rosa. And he's got twins with her. They were born June. She already pregnant. June 14, 2021. And so that's 4. And then she'll have by timing, I guess, 10th child. So we're at 4. Then you got Alyssa Scott. Now, why is that baby named Moroccan Scott? And you got Alyssa Scott. Now, wait a minute, Nick Cannon. Go grab your cups, baby. I'm going to fill it up because this is looking awfully strange. You know, I knew a girl once upon a time that her husband wanted to name the child a particular name, and she wanted to name the child something else. And so she acquiesced and named the child that name, and it happened to be the name of his ex-girlfriend. Now, he said that he was really loved that name. Okay. As you were. So then we're at 4. So this would be 5. So Alyssa Scott, she was on Wild 'N Out. She gave birth on the June 23rd to Zen. So last year that was his 4th child. And then we have Cannon's 8. I don't know. We lost count. Where are the rest of the children? You got 2, 4, 6. Oh, I'm sorry. We got 2 sets of twins. Then we got 2 more children. So we are at 8 with Bree Taisi and then Lanisha Cole. But the question is, how are they reconciling their relationship? Because, it's only 4 weeks in a month, so nobody gets him the whole month. But then the thing is Nick Cannon, now maybe he is an A-list celebrity. I still think of him as a B-list celebrity, and maybe what I think doesn't matter. But, it looks like to me he would run out of money trying to take care of all these children. What is the agreement? And so when we are talking about just regular old black folk and in their dating lives and how they are reconciling the relationships, and I'm not talking about just dating. I'm not talking about people who are dating and, you call and you can't get her. And so, your mind may wander because this is the chick you like. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where there is an agreement that you're going to share. So I wonder, would the agreement be the same if it was a woman who decided that she wanted to have a polyamorous relationship with several different men? Because ultimately, our society, at least in a conventional manner, does not allow women to do what men do. Now, I may be real old school because sometimes I wonder, well, why would we want to? Why would we want to do what they do? Or is it just that we don't want the criticism? Maybe we shouldn't even have the criticism because, each one live their lives according to how they're comfortable. Clearly, Nick Cannon is like the living, walking, breathing example of that. But I'm a little curious when we start to talk about polyamorous relationships and expectations in dating. Is it that we've just kind of given up? So women that decide that they want a polyamorous relationship, and I do know someone who was really entertaining the thought, but in her desire to entertain the thought of having a polyamorous relationship, and typically the way this works, I understand, it's usually a married man who has a wife who has agreed to bringing in another woman or women into the relationship. Now, my friend was looking for more of a big love kind of thing. Like she felt like, okay, if I enter into this agreement, then, he's responsible for my house like he's responsible for yours. And each time that came up, because they go through this whole interview process, each time that came up, the wives were not happy with that. And that was very peculiar to me because is it a belief that women, black women in particular, are so hard up for intimacy and steady, I dare say reliable sexual relationships that they would allow those kind of things to take place? I mean, is that the notion? And so because of that, they decide that they're going to allow themselves to be in these kinds of relationships. I'm just curious how this kind of gets started. Like, what exactly happens when you say, oh yeah, I'm going to be in a polyamorous relationship and I'm going to share my man with other women and it's going to be cool. Oh, and I'm also going to have children. I'm curious about how that gets started. So let's define what exactly a polyamorous relationship is. Because, some of y'all are like, what is that going on? Yeah, child, that's going on. So a polyamorous relationship is defined to mean to have open, intimate, or romantic relationships with more than one person at a time. People who are polyamorous can have any sexual orientation, and polyamorous relationships can include people of different sexual orientations. So this would define that that person is seeing other people and you're cool with it. Well, that's basically, there should be a picture by this definition, Angelo. There should be a picture of Nick Cannon because, as far as I know, he is the poster child for this kind of lifestyle. But it is creeping into other aspects of our dating lives. And so is that where we should be? Is it where we should be for the women who say, I just can't find a man? Every man that you find already has somebody. Is that what we have? Is that an evolution or are we devolving? I guess is kind of the question. Is it really a belief that you really can't find anybody? Because in my mind, now, each one do what they want to do. But in my mind, it would seem that you are settling in a sense. And so if you're settling, because what you ultimately want is really a relationship, and you settle for something to be polyamorous, and Nick Cannon is he's now got men that are thinking that they too can have several women and have several children at a time. Is that what black dating life is going to devolve into? All right, I'm gonna take a quick break. You wrestle with that for just a minute. Give me your chats and your thoughts. Those of you that are on Facebook, and I appreciate if you go to YouTube. I don't really like Mark Zuckerberg and them. This is called with the Black Tea Sip. In a minute.
Do you want to find a stable job in a growing field? IT jobs such as network systems administrators, cybersecurity, programming, cloud, and computer systems analyst are expected to increase 25% by 2022. Texas Premier Technology Institute offers training for top certifications such as CompTIA, Cisco, and Microsoft in less than 12 weeks. And if you're unemployed or underemployed, you may qualify for free tuition. Contact TPTI at 1-888-490-TPTI or check them out on the web at tpti.us.
Yeah, if you came to get some real music with a real vibe, then you came to the right spot. You know what it is. 99.9. It's DJ Candy Can. Here with Loose Cannons. Letting y'all know we about to do this like a fresh pair of Lokes on Easy-E.
Baseline.
Shade.
Let me put my shades on. It's cooler than being cool. Ice cold. Let me put my shades on. Yeah. It's cooler than being cool. Two froze, shades on. I guess you get what you asked for. You can't bullshit the matador. I see the sunset, I see the shore. To the core concrete, I go hard when it doors. When it rains, pain. Club a lane, no shame. Cock back game, Bob gun, go bang. Top hat cane, come a bun, 2 chains. Looking like a Millie, having fun, Lil Wayne. I've been this way since I paid for my school grades. By the pool, sipping Kool-Aid. We shake in the finger waves. Play dates in the backseat, bitch, I'm on my cool J. Take pride in surviving the stakes as I take the ride. Just hoping don't no break supply. First to rise, I want the whole cake, the pie. The lights are blinding, hold up, let me put my shades on. It's cooler than being cool. Ice cold. Let me put my shades on. Yeah. It's cooler than being cool. Two froze, shades shades on.
My hands, pockets in the spliffs, farther to your flow. Wards in the cliffs, I push off the cliff just to see what your balls like. Just to see what your balls like. I drag nuts, can't carry too heavy. Busting down your walls like Katrina did the levee. Knocking in your box, Capri Chevy, 99.9 UMG. If today was today, then tonight we should play. I clear up my evening, hit me up around 8. I'm giving one dolo shot. Down and come up like a pogo hop. Rocker wearing down to the polo shop. Friday night lights let my mojo pop. Better get your photos copped. TMZ flashing in the photos. What's cooler than being cool?
Let me put my shades on. What's cooler than being cool? Ice, let me put my shades on. You didn't know what you was getting. It's Big Papa, Big Pimpin'. I'm a showstopper, helicopter, go Venice. Flying over suckers screaming, this is no scrimmage. This is no gimmick, no Instagram image. Papa's got a brand new bag and I'm in it. Looking for my innocence. I ain't seen a trace of it since I was 10 and convinced that my shit was the shit. This moment forth, I own to set the course. Avoiding that dead end one way. Soak up the sun rays. Sit and take a minute to sunbathe. See, I don't drown, I get down and ride waves. Kanye the coach, in case close is over. Dirt off my shoulders, change clothes to show ya. Supreme flow, need a queen, I'm King Cobra. Toast to not leaving here sober. Let me put my shades on. What's cooler than being cool? Ice, let me put my shades on.
All right, and we're back. This is Corey with the Black Tea Sip. If you're just joining us, we are talking about black folk and polyamorous relationships. Nick Cannon has just introduced his 9th child into the world, and he's expecting 10 and 11 very soon. So we have the pleasure of Michelle Carter, a Olympic gold medalist, and she is also a divorcee, and and she has entered the dating world. And so, you know, Michelle, being that you are a superstar athlete, I think men would probably be a little intimidated. Yep. So they're saying, you know, the sisters are out here and they're texting me and they're saying the pickings are slim out here, Coy. And should we believe that these 5 women that are with Nick Cannon are also experiencing that the pickings are slim? Because Nick Cannon is kind of goofy. Like, I would never believe that women would be. I mean, he must be a hell.
I mean,
because
I've actually met him in person. He's actually pretty cool. So
he's such a goofball to me. But I don't know him.
He is. But I think he presented an opportunity and they took it.
Name on the dotted line.
Yeah, like he came
with a plan. He came with a plan.
He knew what he wanted. He said, "Hey, this is what I'm into. This is what I'm trying to do. Are you with it? Yay or nay?" And they all said yay. So I can't be mad.
I wonder who said no. Surely it's some people out there that said no.
Somebody said no.
Yeah.
But we ain't gonna know who said no because I'm pretty sure there was a non-disclosure with that.
It was an NDA.
You know, because he owned his stuff. But yeah, I mean, people make decisions for whatever they feel was going to be best for their life.
That's right.
And so I don't know what all they decided to do or think about when they made a decision. Like, yeah, I'll be a part of your plan.
Yeah.
But to them, it must sound really good to say yes.
I would love to see, you know, what that looked like. You know, like what that looks like on the printed page, because I know there's a contract, right? Yeah. And so I'm wondering, do you have to agree to have X amount of children? Like, do you become a baby mill for Nick Cannon?
Oh, I mean, some probably agree to 1, some might agree to 2, or some just like, let's just see what happens. I don't know.
But see, here's the thing that I'm thinking. This is how my mind works, sis. Mm-hmm. We are competitive by nature, black women. Now, who knows that better than a gold medalist? Come on, sis. But we are competitive by nature. Mm-hmm. So, I'm thinking, well, she had twins. I can't just have one. Well, I have to have another one.
I can see that, but in this situation, you got to play your part. You signed up for a part. You got to play your part.
Well, now you know, you are dating. You know that we will set the bar. We will tell a man, sisters, we will tell a man, I'm coming out of something. not really looking to get into anything real heavy, just, looking to have some fun, really digging you, but let's just kind of see where it goes. And then some of these guys, are just literally 3 months later, they are talking about marriage, and you like, whoa.
I mean, if you don't play your part, you get kicked off the team. It's that simple.
Well, when you got a baby, how you getting kicked off the team?
Well, that's different. When you got a baby, but the role that you play will be different, right? So, I don't know. I just feel like in this situation, I do believe that Nick Cannon was very upfront about what it is.
I think he was. Absolutely.
And I don't think there was no gray areas. He wasn't playing any games. I think everybody was very clear about what it is that he wanted to do and what she was signing up for.
I agree with that. I don't think that he was playing any games. I don't think that he was out here with, the brother street magic. I don't think that was going on. I think, he's a magician. He dropping here, dropping here, dropping it low and spreading it wide.
Right.
I don't think there was that. I think it was more he's sick. He's looking at his thinking about his mortality long before you would think, given the age, right?
Yeah.
And I think he said, my legacy is going to be that I'm going to have enough children where somebody's going to be like me, because, when you had kids, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get, child.
Right.
So I think he was really intentional, but I cannot not think about how these women are in total agreement, because he's one man clearly servicing 5 women. So the way my mind works is, do these women have other, well, for lack of a better term, side pieces? Little side orders on the side, little French fries over here, little onion rings over there?
I mean, but who's to say that Nick Cannon is not the side piece?
Well, because he's running around dropping seed.
I mean, that's.
But then it might be some men out here. Wait a minute, you have said something. Come through.
I mean,
come on, Michelle.
There's some people out here. People live different lives.
Because the men might be, what's the check look like?
Exactly. They're gonna be like, oh, so this is what we getting into.
I love kids.
I bet. Like maybe he don't want no more kids, or can't physically have kids, or maybe they agree like, okay, we gonna come up on this one together.
So the dude is saying it's a decent proposal. Not indecent, but it's a decent proposal.
I mean, for some people, I ain't gonna say everybody, but for some people, you write the right number down on a piece of paper, people gonna think twice about some things.
Most people. Because, integrity can be bought.
That is true. So you just don't know. Some people gonna be like, all right, I ain't gonna say nothing if you don't. Let's do this. We're gonna say that we weren't together for 2 months, and then you met Nick Cannon, and then y'all got a baby. So it just is what it is. People will come up and bend anything, any kind of way. But I look at it this way too. I just hope that these women just don't sell themselves short for what they really want long term.
And it's that question for me, because therethe's no way that you lay with someone and you don't have feelings. Now, I am all about compartmentalizing. I've said it through my young adult life. I practice it in many ways, but there's always that one person that takes you out of your element. And I have always said, be careful, man or woman, brother or sister, because when you lay down, there's always somebody getting up with more feelings than they had when they originally laid down. Yeah. That's just human nature. Somebody is catching more feelings. So if he is very intentional about this is what I want, it's hard for me to reconcile that these women are literally like, oh, you with Lanisha? All right then.
But do we know that he actually had sex with everybody, or is this artificial?
Now
that's the thing, because that could be arranged as well. He got the money to do that. So we don't know for sure if he's technically having sex with all these women, or is he really truly making arrangements and doing artificial insemination because he wants to have enough kids to carry on his legacy.
That's a very good point. I don't know. I just see he's out with it. It's very intimate, their relationship on Instagram. And it's on Instagram, so it's got to be true. Right. It's got to be true.
Anybody could take a nice picture. And anybody can make things look like as if there are.
Because that's what the photographer is supposed to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, but why would you not have a child with somebody and not do a nice family photo with your baby?
So that you could at least sell the dream to the child.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. You know, you be like, your dad was here. You know, he's been around since day one.
Yes,
like, we all have a picture together.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and I feel like if that's the case, because we
don't know.
We're assuming we're lesbian.
Yeah, right.
If that's the case, I get that, because I feel that a lot of times, even with blended families or however you want to put these situations in the category, we come at it so black and white when actually a lot of it is gray. And there's some things that we can do different so that everybody have a positive experience in whatever the situation may be. Yeah. And sometimes having those family photos or having blended Christmases and Thanksgiving.
Oh, I would love to see this Christmas.
Listen, you know, but if you're looking for like what would be the best thing for everybody, sometimes you gotta swallow your pride and whatever other feelings you have and play your part.
I just don't,
for the better of the group.
I just don't think it's hard for me to reconcile that every single person is worried about the greater good of the group. We are selfish by nature.
Yeah, there's some people like that.
But yes, I'd love to meet them. And you know, I mean, you know, maybe I could learn something. And, you know, I think that their relationship, although I'm not judging, and it may sound like I'm being hypercritical, I'm actually not. I just kind of examine it in just a very realistic way, just for human nature. But if that is what works, because there are so many women that want to have children, that because of conventional standards and you know, Big Mama at the church and what Auntie Lo is going to say, they don't. Or it is kind of taboo and frowned upon to go to a sperm bank and flip through a book and pick you a person. Black people tend to shy away from that. And so you have missed opportunities by some women, fabulous, phenomenal women that probably would have made exceptional, extraordinary mothers, but they didn't. And I think what's happening with Nick Cannon is kind of a solution for some people who, you know, wanted to have children. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I was like, you don't have no homeboy that doesn't have your children or wants to have another child. Y'all can't make a pact, an agreement, you know. And she was like, oh, well, I just never thought of it like that. I mean, and what would he wouldn't want to do, you know, like in vitro? And I was like, well, maybe he doesn't have to. I mean, you know, maybe you just get you some vodka and see what make it do what it do. Right.
That's how fun.
You know, and you can tell that child that it was conceived in fun and maybe not love. And you know, so I think that we have allowed ourselves to become very stagnant in what we want because we let society dictate it. And we're so judgmental because even in dating, you know, I have a friend who is dating two women, and he was very surprised that one of the women was dating someone else, and she had been with that guy. I think they've been dating like 2 years. She had been with that guy about, I don't know, like 18 months or something. And he was really shocked by that. And I said, she is doing what she's supposed to do.
Exactly.
She is absolutely handling her business, because whereas you think you're checking all the boxes, and maybe you are, she's got sense enough to know that since she's not the only one and y'all have already been together almost 2 years and there's never been a conversation about exclusivity, or catch this, maybe she doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Men seem to think that every woman is looking to get married or remarried.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
The dream that's sold to women is totally different than the dream that's sold to men.
Right.
And then when women act outside of what people think women should want or should have, then they're surprised. I truly believe that you are single until you're actually married.
Right, and I don't care how long, how good, how committed y'all are.
Like,
I agree with that.
Right up until the day you say I do, you have the choice to walk away. You are single.
Even if you say I do, you can walk away. But it's a little bit more complicated.
It's supposed to be a little bit more complicated after you say I do. But, you know, like, you can still make moves that you feel is best for you.
That's right.
And so
unapologetically.
Yes. And so I think there's a twofold. Women give too much to men that they haven't, quote unquote, earned.
They are, here it is, they are literally taking on all the job responsibilities when their application has not even been approved.
No, at all.
And I think it's not just women, it's some men out there doing that.
But we all have to put that in perspective. You have to really look at it and take things for what it is. Like, if he never said we exclusive, or we never had a conversation, then why am I exclusively talking to you?
That's right.
Because there's never been a conversation. So I'm giving you something that you never asked for.
Right. And the other part of it is, for me, when I was newly divorced and I was dating, and guys were having these conversations, and I had this little speech that I've talked about on this show. You know, it was a full on speech, Michelle. And I would say, listen, baby, you know, I've already done the 2.5 kids and the dog with the white picket fence. I've been there. I've done that. I'm trying to come out of something. I'm not really looking to get into nothing. Now, if you want to have some fun, I'm your girl, and we can laugh and we can talk and we can hang out. But beyond that, I can't see any more future than that. You know, and they would all say, okay, and then, you know, the bar would be set and I'd operate that way, and then something would happen. And I remember this guy saying, well, are you dating other people? And I remember thinking to myself, say what now? I mean, like, yes, because I think life after divorce is to date, because whatever was non-existent in that marriage, you're trying to do a couple of things. One, reclaim yourself as a single person, man or woman, find your new normal, right? You're trying to reclaim yourself. You're also kind of finding your way as a dater, if you will, because marriage is very different. And whatever was missing or void in that marriage, you want to see what that's like. Whatever it is that you desire to have and you didn't get, I don't know that you're necessarily looking for it, but you certainly want to see what it's like to experience it.
Exactly. No, I totally agree, because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, you know what? There's some things I want to experience that I've never experienced. Like, what does it feel like to go out to eat at, like, fancy restaurants consistently? Like, I got to get dressed up.
Right, I want to put on some clothes.
Whatever the thing is, you know, there were some things I wanted to experience. I'm like, I want to actually kind of talk to kind of multiple people and kind of go outside of my usual group of people that I will probably talk to, and experience different things. But there's all types of people out there, and I've only pretty much dated people that's kind of been close around me.
Because you were an athlete, and so you were in your own little bubble.
But now, you know, online dating introduces you to a whole new world.
Well, see, Lola keeps telling me about online dating, and when I was helping her with online dating, it turned into a cluster. Listen, my girl said, you can't swipe up and down, so yes, you can. Yes, you can. I swiped left, right, up, down, didn't know what I was doing, and messed Lola completely up.
Oh my gosh, no, that's funny. And you know what? I was very hesitant about it at first, but it makes sense over time, because I'm like, you know what? Because I'm still going to be close to the same circles I've always been, and then when I go to events and I go to things, I'm still going to be the Michelle Carter. Right. They already know I'm going to be there before I walk into the room. Right. But on online dating, nobody knows who I am unless you know who I am. And then I don't reveal it in the beginning. Right. I wait. And then let them get to talking. They be like, so wait a minute. So what exactly do you do? Yeah. So you said you did. I'm like, dang it, I probably said a little too much. And then I go ahead and tell them, okay, by the way, my name is Michelle Carter. I'm a 3-time Olympian. I'm a big gold medalist, blah, 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 blah. He was like, you lying. And then they were like, I said, Google me. Google it. I'm Googleable, and then baby. They Google it. I'm like, that's you? I'm like, yep.
So what is that like when they find out?
Some people was like, so why are you on here? What are you?
Because it should be easy, right?
Why are you on here? There's some people who said, like, they saw my profile and they know who I am. Aren't you married? Why are you on
that's
this
terrible.
website? And I'm like, because I'm not married anymore. That's why I'm on the website. But when people kind of realized, they were like, oh, man, like, oh, so you for real, like, you got yourself together. And you can tell they start to question themselves.
The insecurity shows up.
Yeah, and which is okay, because I get it. But at the same time,
how do you manage that, though? The insecure, because I mean, I have
but
guys.
But you know that they're not the one for me.
Boom.
Period. Because
we ain't out here build a bearing man.
No more. I can't do insecurities because, and there's everybody has their own insecurities. I have my insecurities. Absolutely. But I would need somebody who's emotionally mature enough to admit what their insecurities are and notice when they pop up. And they work hard to change it or manage it. Right. Because I feel like, you know, if you've been divorced or gone through some stuff, counseling is, I think everybody needs to go to counseling at one point in their life, no matter what, not even if you're divorced. Right, you need to check to see what's going on in your head. Yeah, more people suffer from mental illness than they know. We just feel like, oh, I just need to take a break. Like, no, you got some stuff you need to unpack. You need to go talk to somebody.
Well, I think we all have a certain level of well, you know, I say that with a certain level of trauma, but I think you just have to do self-actualization. And we are not taught how to do that. We are taught to just, you know, pick up and dust yourself off and move forward. And in relationships and in your dating dating life, if you don't deal with your stuff, then you are taking that to every relationship. Yeah.
But I think for me, being an athlete, I have an advantage where, as an athlete, I had to evaluate everything that I did, because everything that I did led up to my competitions. So when something fell short in my competitions, I have to go back and evaluate everything I did leading up to that competition. So I naturally do that in my everyday life. When things are not going quite right, I go back and evaluate Michelle. So Michelle, what exactly was going on here?
Right.
And a lot of people don't want to do that because you don't want to admit the truth about who you really are and what your shortcomings really are. You want to be blind the fact that you know you trash, but you don't want to say you trash because you don't want to hurt your own feelings, but you have to hurt your own feelings. You got to be honest with yourself. If you want to be better, you want to go places and do things, you want a better relationship, better job, there's going to be time when you got to look at yourself and you got to say,
people are not taught to do the work.
I am not the person who gets that. It has to line up. I wanted to be an Olympic gold medalist. I had to start acting and carrying myself as an Olympic gold medalist before I came one. I couldn't all of a sudden become an Olympic gold medalist and now I'm start acting like one. Like, that's not how that works. So when you're not where you want to be, you have to figure out how to reflect back and figure out, okay, if I'm not who I want to be, how do I get there?
And I think in dating, if you're not getting what you want, then my thing is you play a role in your own disappointment, and oftentimes the monster you're battling, you created it. You have to look at yourself. If your relationships are going in this direction, then you have to say, okay, well, I'm the common denominator. I know a guy that told me literally every woman he had ever been with cheated on him. And I remember thinking to myself, but what is it that you're doing? Well, I had another friend that basically told me the same thing, and he was married. And I said, these women didn't cheat on you. They had sense enough to know you were married. And, you know, because my homeboy was talking about his little side order and sometimes how he gets jealous of the side order. And I'm like, what is happening? And in the conversation, he said, you know, he was never really unhappy in his marriage. He's literally still married, but he had been married, I think, at the time, close to, I think, 18 years, and he had been dealing with the same woman for 16 years of that 18 years. And I remember thinking to myself, what is happening? Y'all are common law married at this point, 16 years. But he talked about feeling like she was cheating on him. She can't cheat on you. You're already married. You know, so people have these feelings and these ideas and they don't deal with them.
Unrealistic expectations.
Unrealistic expectations. Okay,
and unrealistic visions of themselves.
Yeah, and not being able to deal with their stuff. We got to take a break. This is Called with the Black Tea Sip. When we come back, we are going to unpack some things about relationships and how people should deal with, you know, their own stuff. This is Called with the Black Tea.